The Bangkok airport was alive with a kind of restless energy that only travelers knew. It was late evening, and the heat still clung to the glass windows like a second skin. Inside, the air buzzed with introductions, shy laughter, and the constant hum of rolling suitcases. 20 strangers had gathered for a very particular kind of holiday, a 3-week adventure across Southeast Asia, from Thailand to Cambodia and Vietnam. The idea was simple. No one knew each other beforehand, but they would share the journey, the meals, and the discoveries. Among them was Ella, a woman in her early 30s from London. She had a quick smile, a sharp tongue, and eyes that darted around, always searching for the next joke or observation. She wasn't shy. In fact, she was the kind of person who often filled silences with quips, though sometimes they came out sharper than intended. On the opposite side of the gathering stood Maya, a woman a few years older, originally from Barcelona. Her presence was different, calm, self-contained, almost unreadable. She didn't rush to introduce herself to everyone, didn't laugh at every joke, and instead observed the group quietly, as though she were already writing stories in her mind. She had a sketchbook tucked in her bag, the edges worn from years of use. When the group leader clapped his hands to get attention, he asked everyone to circle up and say their names, hometowns, and one fun fact about themselves. Ella said she had once eaten an entire jar of Nutella in one sitting, which made half the group laugh. Maya said she loved drawing people in cafes, but rarely showed anyone her work. Her voice was calm, steady, with a slight Spanish lilt. And yet, for reasons neither of them could fully explain, they didn't warm to each other. Ella thought Maya seemed distant, maybe even a little pretentious. Maya, meanwhile, thought Ella used humor as a shield, and she found it tiring. Their brief exchanges were polite, but cool. That evening, the leader announced the rooming system. To keep things interesting, everyone would draw a small folded card from a wooden bowl. Each card had a number. If 2 people drew the same number, they would share a room for that stretch of the trip. Ella dipped her hand in and pulled out a card. 7. A moment later, Maya unfolded hers, the same number. A murmur of amusement rippled through the group. The leader smiled. "Well, looks like you 2 will be roommates," he said cheerfully. They exchanged a look, both masking their private groans. The walk to room 7 was silent. The hotel wasn't fancy, polished tile floors, whitewashed walls, and the faint smell of jasmine drifting through open windows. Their room had 2 single beds, a small balcony, and just enough space for 2 suitcases. Ella dropped her bag onto the bed nearest the balcony. "I'll take this one," she said, forcing a smile. Maya nodded. "That's fine." The evening unfolded in clipped phrases. "You can shower first." "No, you go ahead." "Do you want the window open?" "Doesn't matter." It wasn't unfriendly exactly, just stiff, like 2 puzzle pieces that didn't quite fit. The first 2 days of the trip confirmed it. They joined the group for temple tours, tuk-tuk rides, and street food tastings, but they didn't pair off. Ella cracked jokes with a Canadian traveler, while Maya walked quietly with a woman from Germany. They acknowledged each other in passing, but that was all. If anyone had suggested they'd become closer than anyone else in the group, both women would have laughed. But something was already shifting, quietly, in the background. The 3rd night of the trip arrived with a kind of electricity in the air. After 2 days of temples, jet lag, and group bonding, everyone was ready to let loose. The group leader suggested a night out in Chiang Mai, where the narrow streets came alive with neon signs, music spilling from bars, and the smell of grilled skewers and spices drifting through the night. The group squeezed into a popular bar with low ceilings and colorful lanterns dangling overhead. A live band covered old pop songs, the kind that made everyone sing along whether they knew the lyrics or not. Ella was in her element. She clinked bottles with strangers, laughed at half-funny jokes, and danced without hesitation. Her sarcasm softened into playfulness with a couple of drinks in her system. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was simply letting herself have fun. When Maya returned to grab her drink, Ella smirked. Well, Didn't think you could dance. Maya rolled her eyes but smiled. I don't usually. But tonight feels different. It was such a simple exchange, but it cracked something open between them. The tension that had kept them apart suddenly seemed thinner, more fragile. The music grew louder, and soon they found themselves talking. Really talking. Leaning close over the noise, their words tumbled out faster than expected. They discovered they both loved photography, often sneaking away on trips just to capture candid street shots. They both hated waking up early, but forced themselves for sunrises anyway. They both carried sketchbooks, though Ella's was more for jotting silly notes, while Maya filled hers with drawings. Every time they found another similarity, they laughed, surprised at how much they shared. Later, the group spilled out into the warm night air, cheeks flushed from dancing and drinking. They crowded around a street vendor selling skewers of chicken, sticky rice, and fresh mango. Ella and Maya walked side by side, still deep in conversation, almost forgetting the others were there. Back at the hotel, the group dispersed, some collapsing straight into bed, others lingering in the hallway. Room 7 closed behind them, and for once, neither woman wanted the night to end. Sitting cross-legged on their beds, they continued talking, sharing stories until the clock ticked past midnight. Ella told a ridiculous tale about getting lost in Paris and accidentally joining a stranger's family picnic. Maya confessed her fear of deep water, even though she loved the sea. Their voices softened as the hours stretched on, their laughter fading into thoughtful silences. For the first time, the space between them felt comfortable. When they finally drifted off to sleep, Ella thought, "She's not cold at all. I just hadn't seen her yet." And Maya thought, "Maybe I misjudged her. Maybe there's something more here." Neither said it out loud, not yet. But something had shifted. The following days unfolded like a slow-blooming secret. The group continued its adventures. Long bus rides, night markets, island ferries, but Ella and Maya now found themselves paired off more often than not. They lingered at food stalls, sharing bowls of noodles and teasing each other over spice levels. They explored hidden alleys, stopping to photograph lanterns glowing against the dusk sky. In Cambodia, they wandered through ancient temples together, whispering jokes in the quiet stone corridors. It wasn't that they ignored the rest of the group, but whenever possible, their steps seemed to fall in rhythm, their conversations stretching late into the night. Back in their shared room, intimacy grew in small, unspoken ways. They brushed their teeth side by side, exchanged knowing smiles over messy suitcases, and whispered goodnight across the gap between their beds. One evening, after a long day of island hopping in southern Thailand, they found themselves sitting on their balcony. The sea stretched out like black silk, the moonlight spilling across its surface. The air was heavy with salt, and somewhere far below, the faint sound of music drifted from the beach. Maya leaned on the railing, her hair catching the light. "You know," she said softly, "I didn't expect this trip to feel like more than just travel." Ella tilted her head, curious. "More how?" Maya hesitated, then met her gaze. "Like I was meant to meet you here." The words hung in the air, delicate but undeniable. Ella felt her heart pound, an unexpected rush of warmth spreading through her chest. Slowly she reached out, her fingers brushing against Maya's hand. Maya didn't pull away. Instead, she turned her palm upward, lacing their fingers together. The silence between them was no longer heavy, it was electric. Ella whispered, almost afraid of breaking the moment, "Can I?" Maya leaned closer, closing the space between them. Their first kiss was soft, tentative, full of everything they hadn't said. It wasn't rushed. It was an exploration, gentle and tender, as though both were realizing at the same time how much they had been waiting for it. From that night on, their bond deepened. Behind the closed door of room 7, they shared laughter, late-night whispers, and gentle touches that spoke louder than words. Their closeness grew naturally, built on trust and discovery. The group noticed, the smiles, the glances, but no one teased. Instead, their connection seemed to warm the whole journey, reminding everyone that travel was about people as much as places. By the final day, when they stood in the airport in Vietnam, ready to part ways, neither Ella nor Maya felt like the same women who had awkwardly shared a room in Bangkok 3 weeks earlier. They hugged tightly, reluctant to let go. Ella whispered with a crooked smile, "Guess drawing the number 7 wasn't unlucky after all." Maya's eyes shone. "No, it was the best number."